Thank you for inviting me to speak about the relationship between marketing, and specifically personal branding, and the endurance leader. The two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. Mark Twain. Imagine a life where every decision you make is predicated on your deepest values and beliefs, where your personal and professional brand reflect what's most important to you, but also inspire others to follow you, to do business with you, to stay engaged with you. Do you think it would matter to your success, to your agency's success? Do you think it would help you be a better rainmaker? Well, hold that thought while I tell you a story about someone for whom this should have been a no-brainer. Note that I said should have been. Let me introduce you to Mike. We will call him Mike, one of my new coaching clients a few years ago. And Mike was a brilliant marketing executive. He had had decades of success building clients' portfolios, delivering incredible value, market share, etc. He was really a very smart guy who had delivered great results. So imagine my surprise when I am sitting on a virtual call with Mike and 20 of his team members, and I hear Mike call his direct report an effing idiot. He didn't say effing, by the way, and laugh. What just happened? I'm horrified that my client would talk this way on a call. And the worst part was, I think I was the only person who was surprised. You see, his team knew better. They had expected this kind of behavior. And after the call, as you can imagine, people got very quiet. Mike ran most of the call. Everybody just wanted to get the heck out of there, including me. So I was just dumbfounded. How could someone so brand smart, so marketing knowledgeable, be so human stupid? Well, it's because Mike's human. Mike had done the work of personal brand, like probably many of you. He had taken time to think about what were his greatest values, what mattered most to him, and how he could incorporate that into his personal brand. But that work had happened a long time ago, and he just hadn't kept with it. He hadn't continued to bring that into his work, and as the work got more stressful, as pressures increased, he lost sight of that person he really wanted to be and the brand he wanted to show up with. And so when he got stressed, he got emotional. But Mike didn't know that that person that he really wanted to be wasn't who was showing up. And I knew that when we talked about this event, and he said, my team knows who I am. And I said, I think you're confusing brand with reputation. And those of you who've done work on brand know better than I do, because that is not my area of expertise, but that brand is really about being consistent in exhibiting your values all the time to your client and to your team. Reputation is what people really experience. And I said, you know, Mike, I think your reputation is as a brilliant guy who is emotionally inconsistent. And what's happening is your team, when you meet they cannot keep their attention fully engaged on the work at hand because they're so worried about managing your emotion. And he looked like I punched him in the face, which I kind of did, in a loving, coaching way, with the most support. And we started to work on bringing Mike back in touch with that mattered most to him. And he did make progress, and he started to bring in all of the things he really wanted to be with his team, a very engaging and empowering individual. So Mike has some success behind him. But why does brand matter? Personal brand matter to your business? Well, the research shows that individuals who have a clear sense of their purpose create a more compelling brand because they are more consistent in demonstrating their values. Their actions are more predictable. And who doesn't want to work with people who are predictable and own a consistent set of values that they exhibit? They tend to create greater loyalty and greater engagement, both with their teams, but also their clients. And they attract more right fit prospects. Dr. Richard Boyatzis and his team at Case Western Reserve University have been doing research for decades on brain imaging. And for those of you who are the neuropsych wonks in the group, functional MRIs. And what they find is that when people are given the opportunity to focus on their ideal self, he actually calls it dreaming, the parts of their brain associated with creativity and growth are super activated. It's your frontal parietal lobe, again, for those of you playing at home in the neuropsych industry. But as people start to move toward problem solving and decision making, which I would bet most of us think are kind of important, the activity moves. It moves towards the fight and flight centers, towards that self-protection. And the way that Boyatzis describes it, and I resonate with quite a bit, is that it's as if you have an opportunity for a 180-degree view of what's possible. Not only for yourself, but also for your business, for your team. And as you narrow, again, inevitable, problem solving, decision making, your vision starts to narrow as well. And that's okay. But don't you think that your business, your personal brand, would do better by starting with the biggest possible view? So why don't we do this more often? Why don't we spend this time in this space? Well, because like Mike, we get busy, or we don't know how to take the ideal parts of ourselves and bring it back. So, as I mentioned, the endurance leader is a concept that I have launched in a book that's forthcoming. And I do a lot of endurance leader coaching. And in part of that is a concept I talk about anchoring your mindset and really discerning your mission. And there's an activity I do with my clients, and I will today lovingly call it hugging your headstone, or embracing your urn if you're not a headstone fan. And I would like to ask you or invite you to participate in this activity with me right now. So if you're of the abacus era, like I am, please feel free to pull out a piece of paper and a writing implement, or you can use your phone note-taking app or your text yourself, whatever feels good to you. And what I am going to do in a moment, give you a very short period of time. And in that period of time, I'd like you to think about answering one of several questions. The first one is, what do you want written on your headstone? Or, again, not your jam, what do you want said about you at the end of your life? Or perhaps, as Boyatzis would talk about it, what is this ideal self you have? I talk about what is your mission? What are you uniquely on the planet to do? So I'm going to give you a total of 40 seconds to do this activity, okay? Ready, go. Okay, that was 40 seconds, or at least it was in my head, so I'm hoping I'm close. For those of you, for some of you it might have felt like an eternity, and for others of you, you were just getting started. Either way is great. I'm not going to ask you what you wrote, although I'll be happy to talk with you about it later. What I will ask, though, is if I walked around with you for a week, would I see that person? If I asked your team, or your clients, or your family, would they describe that person to me? Now, I hope that for most of you, you'd go, yep, maybe a little bit, right? That person shows up every once in a while on a really good day. But I could probably do a little bit better job. And the challenge is, how? For a lot of people, it's the how. What am I actually going to do to bring this ideal future self into my work and into my life every day? And that's really the trick. So as an endurance leader coach, I spend time with people figuring this out. And my client, Sandy, is a great example of someone who took actual behavioral action to transform her brand. I met Sandy about 18 months ago, and in our first coaching conversation, I'm all excited. What do you want to work on, Sandy? And she bursts into tears. Now that's a brand image, right? Whoa. Well, Sandy has an incredible reputation as a very effective manager at this very well-known construction company. She's been there for almost 20 years. She's incredibly hardworking. She's loyal. She gets great results. Her people like her. But Sandy has a real concern about making sure that everything is delivered perfectly. And she ties herself up in knots about absolutely everything. And the effect that's having is that she is working way too many hours. She's not empowering her team enough. She is not in great health. And she doesn't take criticism very well. Every time somebody even disagrees with her in a meeting, she might burst into tears or she gets really defensive. When I asked her what her brand was, she said, well, I think people would say I'm a really hard worker and that I get good results, but that I work too much, I'm 150 pounds overweight, and I cry all the time. I don't know about you, but just makes me sad. Is this the brand any of us want to be walking around with? She didn't either. So we spent some time talking about who is this ideal self? What do you want to be known for? And she said, I want to be known as the best manager my team has ever had. I want to be known for the strategic value I bring to this company and to clients. And I want to be healthy. I want to make a difference in my community. So, it's a lot. So where can we start? So we started with, let's figure out ways that you can successfully empower your team. So we've picked a few of her team members. She gave over some of the responsibilities she had been holding on to. We had a lot of discussion about that, and they were doing well. That freed up some of her time, which brought us to a second thing, boundaries. Let's not fill those hours back up. Let's let you go home before 10 o'clock at night. Sandy started exercising again. She had been both a college and high school athlete. She started going to yoga. She started sleeping a little bit more. She started volunteering at the dog shelter that she had been wanting to volunteer at for years. When I think about Sandy right now, I still get the opportunity to see her, and gives me some chills. Sandy has lost 100 pounds. She smiles, something that she really didn't do a whole heck of a lot. 2 of her 5 direct reports have been promoted because of the opportunities that they had and the ability to create greater impact on the business. And her boss is reporting that she is having greater visibility and impact with the C-suite. Now, it's not, of course, all perfect, but Sandy really transformed her brand. And it's had a meaningful impact on the business. So I invite you to think about, for yourself, what is one thing that you might be able to do on Monday to start bringing your ideal self just a little bit more into your business, your leadership, maybe your family. One thing can make a huge difference. What I'm living for and what I'm dying for are the same thing. Margaret Atwood. If you live by that and bring that in to your life every day, you can watch it transform your business, your brand, and your life.